That one egg was 40 eggs?
That's a big fucking pile of garbage.
I'm the farting demon in this relationship.
I'd be an awesome rich person.
You're both just an embarrassment.
God, I'm awesome.
We're talking Tom Hanks and his vehicle.
Yeah, I had my finger in my mouth waiting for you to finish.
You gotta get 4 balls or something.
Dick piercings?
No, you know damn well I'm fucking that demon.
It's still sexy. How could that be close and not be
Yeah,
right?
just kill some random dude.
If you want cheese, you get a milk.
You're waiting for pig.
No, I can hate on it. It sucked. Boners.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Plotty Time. And here it is, our final recap of 2023. We are talking about the top 5 games we reviewed all this year.
Yeah, highest scores.
5 highest scores.
5 highest scores done by our perfect scoring system, which is based on 81 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to bet the highest score is in over 25?
No, it definitely
Oh,
is.
it definitely is. Probably in the 40s.
Oh, no, we did have a really good one. All right, yeah.
We had a couple bangers this year.
It's hard to remember which games you did when you've been doing this for 5 years.
It is
For
difficult.
real.
I looked at some of these and I was like, we did that this year. Jesus. Just a couple fun facts. There is no game we did before May 11th. That was our first one on our top 5 list.
Ooh, first
I remember
hitter.
that means the bottom 5 must be in the banger list from before.
I wonder if they're all from before there. I do remember that we started off with a lot of stinkers in a row.
Yeah,
I
we
remember
did.
us talking about that and being like, Jesus Christ, like, what are we doing? Some of the early games, they're not on the list, but just to give you guys a quick recap, Indigo Prophecy, that was one of the higher rated ones that did not make the list.
Oh.
That was at
interesting.
35.
That was
Didn't
a
make
good
the
game.
list.
Oh, damn.
I played that? No, I played that last year, probably.
We played
Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
in that first, up until May, we also did games like Rise of Nightmares,
Oh, yeah, that was the Wii
Xbox.
Yeah.
Xbox.
Yeah, the Kinect game.
Yeah, there's something weird
We were
about
like
it.
in the
yeah.
woods and come across.
Yeah,
Right,
that was
right.
really fucking weird.
Metroid Prime was
Oh,
one we did.
yeah.
Alone in the Dark 2. X-Files Resistance Serve, which I am shocked I never heard of before we talked about it. Because if you look at it, it's just like a Resident Evil game,
Yeah, but not as good.
but not nearly as good. With your favorite characters too, but it wasn't until May 11th we got into the first game. So
Oh, this is number 5 of May 11th?
what we're going to do is we are going to talk about games 5, 4, and 3. We're going to reminisce. We're going to play you guys a clip from the episode. And then we're going to fuck off till next week where we go off on episode or number 2 and number 1.
And the bomb stinks.
The bombs, the biggest stinkers of 2023. And ooh, boy, smelled like shit.
It was in the poo world.
Ooh, it was I didn't go through and look, but I'm pretty sure this was not the worst year we've had.
I was just going to say, I would like to see what our bottom 5 of all time is. It's got to be Quiet Man,
Yeah, that's good.
Madden.
I feel like this is going to have to be a whole separate episode of the bottom 5 all time.
Yeah, the
Or
worst games of
the worst
ever.
games of the first 5 years or something like
yeah,
that.
we'll have to record that for a special
Yeah.
thing sometime.
I think we should just spend all this year doing recap episodes. Like,
I'm down.
we could absolutely do that.
We can do 5 episodes a week, starting from our worst 5 and get to the top 5 best. No,
They're just going to be clip shows. Like, we're not even going to record. We're just
If we do 5 a
that'll
week,
work for me.
we can cover every game we've done.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
perfect. I actually was thinking about that, doing like the year in review 2019 and just talking about the games we talked about in 2019.
I did that with our top 5, bottom 5 in 2019.
Yeah, but no one remembers that.
I know. That was back before we sounded like a super professional podcast, too.
Yeah, when everything was really low.
Back when we were little greenhorns.
We started this a
Little
year
tiny
before
potters.
the pandemic.
Yeah.
No, like 14 months
Wait,
before.
you think we brought on the pandemic?
I do now.
People wanted to hear more of us, so they thought if they were inside.
Yeah. Fauci
mean,
did that because he loved
Fauci
us.
did it. Fauci, and they still didn't fire him, right?
Boom.
Jesus Christ.
I bet you I'm the only one here that has someone write "Hang Fauci" at their work every day.
Every day?
Not every day, but
I'm
it's
sure
still
somebody said it. I'm sure someone who came into my restaurant said it,
there.
too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
No, they're like really dusty at parts, and one guy's just he just writes around like "Hang Fauci" or
Wow.
in the dust.
Cool people.
Yeah,
I never understood the Fauci hate. I just don't get
it's
it.
Yeah.
what they're told to do, man.
Yeah.
Sheeple, right?
Yeah.
Fucking A, man.
Yeah.
Mind controlled zombos.
Go and buy our stuff at the Plotty Time store.
Yeah. You want to buy it.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get into the first game here.
All right, number 5.
Last year we had 6 because
We tied.
6, 5, and 4 all tied.
Yeah.
Not a problem this year.
All right.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So our number 5 episode by score gives us a total score for 37.
Ooh.
37.
Episode number 232, released July 20th, 2023. The game, Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception.
We did that this year?
I know, that's what I said too.
That does.
Yeah.
That feels so long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a Drake game.
Yeah.
They're all fun.
It's probably the worst Drake game out of the first 3.
That was the plane, wasn't it? It started with
Yeah.
you on the cargo
Aruba
plane.
Kali Desert. Mm-hmm. You're searching for the Imam of the Sands. I can't think of what they call it.
I don't remember.
It was definitely a Dr.
Atlantis of the
Scientist. bet.
Sands. Yeah.
It was a Dr. Scientist.
Oh,
bet.
was it? Yeah. Very good point. Possibility.
Yeah, Dr. Scientist. You were on this list a couple times. I remember playing it. I enjoyed Uncharted 3. It's a good game.
What's the name of it?
Drake's Deception.
Drake's Deception. No, fuck, I can't remember it at all.
Is this also the one where you went back in time and played as Little Drake?
That's what
You
I was
did for a
thinking.
little bit,
in the
yeah.
beginning of the game.
Like
Yeah.
in Spain or whatever.
Yeah, because you get that's when you find the Drake's ring, and then they're all kind of looking for Drake's treasure. No, is that this one?
I don't think so.
I think that's 4.
It might be 4.
No, 4 you're back when you're a kid. No, this is the one, or maybe it's 2 when you're. I don't even remember anymore.
This one had something to do with a map and a fortune.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember. Sully was in it.
But I know you're looking. No, it is the one, because then you find like John Dee's laboratory, and you end up finding out that they found this place in the sands and were trying to hide from it.
Oh, that place that ate everything at the end.
Yeah, there's a giant
Right.
bronze thing in the well.
Yeah. That was killing people.
It was the game where you flash back to Colombia 20 years ago with young Drake, and he tries to steal from Sully. And it's the one where the British who's the British guy?
The good guy or the bad guy?
The good guy.
I don't remember, but he's pretty fucking cool.
Oh, yeah.
He
We
hangs out
broke
with
his
what's her
leg. Yeah.
And it's the introduction of Chloe, who's probably the coolest character in the Uncharted games.
Drake, Sully, and Irish show up. Oh, yeah, there's just looking through it. You go to France at some point where you get into an underground thing. You talk about a chateau.
Yeah, you're looking at cathedrals and shit. Yeah. I
You go to
remember this.
Yemen, and Elena hooks him up with journalism creds to get them around. And this is where we find out that at some point Drake and Alena were engaged, but it didn't work out.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Then they just keep trauma bonding until they finally get married.
Yeah.
It's good play.
That's
play.
the way it should work, I think.
Marlo is the bad guy.
Yep.
Okay, we're remembering
She's
this.
a bad woman, yes.
Bad woman. Oh yeah, she's the badass old lady.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's Drake.
Drake's Deception.
3.
Drake
Drake's
3.
Deception. Uncharted 3. Drake's Deception. How about we roll that clip now?
Number 3.
5.
5. Drake 3. Whatever. You get it.
Please tell us what it's all about.
Well, it starts with Victor Sullivan and Nathan Drake walking into a bar, and you may remember them from the other 2 games.
Ooh, is this some shady meeting?
It
Mark
could be.
Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, you Sully.
Oh, shut up.
Okay.
And they walk into some shady backroom deal, and there's 2 guys there, Talbot and he's kind of like a I don't know, well-dressed kind of thug type guy, and Cutter, who's your typical grunt muscle guy.
Okay.
And they're like, hey, here's some money. Now give us the ring. They're exchanging. They're trying to buy Nathan's ring that he wears around his neck, which you may remember is Francis Drake's ring.
Of course.
And of course, Victor's like, well, this money's fake. We can't trade it. And a fight breaks out. Whatever. You know how Uncharted works. Eventually, they break out of the bar and they're in the alley, and a car pulls up, a nice car, and this old lady gets out, well-dressed old lady, and she's like, blah, 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 and she steals the ring from Drake.
Oh, no.
What?
Yeah. Apparently, she's been looking for it for a while, and Nate had it. And then, out of nowhere, Cutter shoots both of them, Sully and Nate, and everybody drives away.
Well, that's the end.
Game's
Okay.
over. Yeah, that's it. That's the game, everyone.
That's pretty
It's
good.
a very unceremonious death for Drake, right?
Then it cuts back to 20 years earlier in Cartagena, Colombia.
Ooh.
And it has a childhood Nathan Drake. Is this the first time we see Kid Drake? I think so.
Yes. I mean, I'm 95% sure it is.
Yeah. And whatever. It's basically the story of how Nathan and Sully met. And Nate steals the Drake's ring, and at the end of the story, Kate Marlowe ends up with an astrolabe, and they're supposed to be working together, whatever. Doesn't matter. Long story short, Sully is basically taking Nate under his wing as a child and gonna raise some great thief, I guess.
Yeah, he sees something in this little boy.
Yeah.
Who's stealing rings.
Then it cuts back to the present, and Marlowe is driving away, and Cutter's like, "All right, they drove away. You can get up."
What?
Yeah, it was all fake. Cutter's in on it. He's friends with Drake and Sully, and they set this all up.
What?
I'm not exactly sure what they tried to accomplish with this, because
Just to get her off the back, I think.
yeah, but she's gonna figure out spoiler, they gave her a fake ring, but they didn't even end up with the money. Like, I'm not exactly sure what the idea of this part was about to do.
Yeah, why didn't they just...
Wasn't it to figure out who they were working for or to follow them back?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe it was figure out, all right, well,
they
that makes a lot more
follow.
sense. Well, it makes the only thing that makes sense, really.
Well, because Drake knew the ring had something to do with it, but he didn't know where to go or he needed more clues.
But he knew 20 years ago.
Yeah, Victor knew.
Didn't they? Okay, I swear that this is a real thing.
It could be, but Sully knew they were trying to find it 20 years ago, which was why I was confused by this. It doesn't matter now.
Okay, I think it was because they didn't have the decoder, so they wanted to get the decoder and figure out where to go.
They're trying to figure out where their decoder is.
So they faked the death to follow them back to the hideout to find the decoder because they knew once they got the ring they would go right to the decoder. Yeah,
Right,
I think
right,
that's what it is. Which I still think it's a wild story. Why didn't you just steal the decoder from them?
Yeah.
But whatever.
Anyway, so Sully and Cutter and Nate walk, and then we meet the great Chloe. She comes back after Uncharted 2 and is on helping with their schemes again.
Of course. Why wouldn't she?
And she's like, "Hey, I followed Marlo Abbott to this place. They're still in there. They never came out. Go in and find your whatever astrolabe." So they walk in, and of course, there's some puzzles and underground tunnels. That's going to happen a lot in this game.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of those.
And eventually, they get to an underground study library, and they're kind of watching Marlo go through this, and she uses the ring and the decoder. But of course, it doesn't work because it's a fake ring.
It doesn't even fit.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you make it the same size at least?
It might work. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
You probably only need a ring around that size. So they figure out it's a forgery, like, they must have followed us. Go figure out where they are. So everybody runs out trying to get to the entrance to make sure that they don't.
Everyone's
aren't followed.
playing 3D chess here, man.
Backstabbing, secrets, and lies.
So they eventually sneak around, get the astrolabe, and Nate decodes something, and they eventually find a map. And like, all right, we got to get out of here. So they have to escape, shoot some people, run through tunnels again. Blah, blah, blah. They eventually get out. And they get to a safe house, and Nate's reading the map. And they also took a book from T.E. Lawrence that Marlowe was using. It's Lawrence of Arabia, if you know what that story is. And they're like, well, he was sent to find a city in Arabia by the queen, and they were just they found clues, and those clues are somewhere. There were some in France and some in Syria. So we're going to have to split up, believe it or not.
Makes sense, dude.
Yeah. So Nate and Sully are going to go to France, and Talbot and Chloe are going to go to Syria.
Okay, so they're splitting up.
Yeah, to find clues on this city that Lawrence was looking for.
City of Brass.
Ubar, Imam of the Pillars, Atlantis the Sands. It
That's
goes by
so many
a lot
names,
of names.
man.
So Nate and Sully get to France, and they end up at this chateau in the woods. And like, hey, this is John Dee's chateau, just like that old underground place we found Marlowe in. This is all John Dee's stuff.
John D's nuts.
Boom.
Nice! Boom! Nailed it! There we go.
Oh, perfect.
That was dumb.
I gotta be faster on these buttons. This is sad.
But
Love cum jokes.
There's one.
yeah, that's a good one.
That's a great one.
They were going around, and then they find a dead guy that in a suit, and they're like, oh man, Talbot's here already? How'd they figure this out?
Yeah, right?
Doesn't matter. There's more puzzles and underground tunnels, and they eventually get to a grave, and they push it open, and it's like half of an amulet.
Oh.
And Nate's like, oh, the other half must be in Syria. That's how we can get them together and figure out where we're going.
Makes sense.
But of course, Talbot catches you while you're leaving. He's like, yoink, give me the amulet. I'm leaving. Here's a bunch of bugs. And this happens in the game where bugs chase you and you have to...
Are they spiders?
They're just some sort of bug. They could be spiders. I don't know.
Some secret bug nobody knows about anymore.
Yep.
Okay.
This is a little late. Did you play Chump Slap?
No.
I know Poppascotch did and I did, but...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you run away from the bugs, and this happens a couple of times in the game where bugs start chasing you. It's really annoying and kind of dumb. I don't like it.
Right.
And then you kind of escape the bugs because they won't go in the light, and you find Talbot's guys trying to burn the chateau down.
Of course.
Yeah, so you have to escape the burning chateau, which is also annoying. Eventually, Sully and Nate, they escape, and they're like talking, and Sully's like, are you sure this is all worth it, Nate? There's a lot of people trying to kill us, and we don't even know what we're trying to do anymore. And Nate's like, fuck you, Sully. I'm gonna find this treasure. It's my life's journey.
Yeah, every time it's his life's journey.
Yeah. But then he's like, although we were followed, that must mean Chloe and Cutter are followed too. So we got to hurry off to Syria. So cut to Syria, and Nate and Sully are there, and they can't get a hold of Chloe and Cutter. So they're
What do you mean?
They're trying to call him on the phone, and it's not working.
Oh, okay. Well, that was very literal.
Ran out of minutes.
Well, you find that out later. Spoiler.
Oh, sorry.
So Nate and Sully are sneaking around. They eventually run into Chloe and Cutter. They're fine. They're okay. And Cutter tells Nate, he's like, well, I've been reading these books, and it appears that all these guys, Drake and Lawrence and the Queen and John D and blah, 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 are all part of the secret society who have been trying to find this thing in the desert. And Marlowe's the present day leader of that same group that it's lasted for years.
Of course.
There are so many goddamn like secret societies in these goddamn games.
There has to be, or else it wouldn't be found already.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're sneaking around trying to figure out where the other part of the clue is. And eventually they get seen, and there's some rockets shot at you and stuff flying around, blah, blah, blah. More puzzles and more underground tunnels. Cryptic society bullshit of finding symbols and whatever. And while they're doing one of the puzzles, they're searching through these things. Cutter gets drugged by Talbot. He gets shot with like a dart. Yeah, a drug dart.
Some trippy dart.
Yeah, and Cutter's like suggestive, and he's like, don't trust Nate. Give me your gun. Give me all your books. Give me everything.
And he has to.
And Cutter can't do it because he's drugged. You know how hard it is.
You know how that works.
They obviously just bring him along with them because even though he's fucked up, they need him. And of course, there's a little scuffle between Cutter and Drake here. It doesn't really matter.
Now, I haven't played it obviously since it came out, but this really feels like it was an escort mission?
Kind of.
Because he breaks his leg?
Not yet.
Oh.
No, he's just all tripping out, and you're still trying to like
not
keep
leaving him
safe.
behind.
Yeah.
And fight him off.
Yeah, trying to whatever.
Yeah.
But eventually you find another grave of Templars or whatever the fuck they are. And you open it up, and it's the other half of the amulet.
Oh, thank God.
And they're like, oh, now we have both halves. Oh, no, Talbot has the other half. But I drew it. Nate's always thinking.
Classic Nate. Just like on Indiana Jones when he uses the piece of paper and the charcoal on the Knight Templar's shield.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And like the Big Lebowski when he's at Jackie Treehorns.
It's another great example. Another great example of using shading to show what's written underneath it.
Yeah. We've all seen it done in movies.
What an underappreciated bit that was in the Big Lebowski.
Yeah. Especially when he is done, he looks like, he's like, what the fuck? He gets to crumble it apart in his pocket.
Then barely makes it back on the couch.
Yeah, and then he gets arrested and has a picture in his pocket. Anyway, once they pick up the amulet, of course, bugs rush in. There's puzzles, platforming, running from bugs, blah, blah, blah. And they eventually find a map to Yemen, too.
Yeah, is this when they find the star map?
No, they find the star map in Yemen.
Oh, yes, okay.
But like, all right, we have this map to Yemen. We have both halves of the amulet. We're going to escape now. Whatever. Fall our way out. They eventually run away, and Talbot's like, nope, we aren't going anywhere. And they all pull their guns on him. And they're like, well, we got a secret weapon. And Cutter turns, and he's pointing his gun at you.
What?
Yeah. And they're like, throw all your guns down, Nate. Throw all your guns down, Chloe. Throw all your gloves down, Sully. Cutter's like, I'm drugged. I can't stop. And then Talbot's like laughing. He's like, ha ha, shoot him anyway. And then Talbot's like, no, I'm not drugged. I'm tricking you.
Oh, shit.
He really shook that off pretty fast, huh?
I don't.
Why do you let them throw their guns down?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was thinking that too. I'm like, if you're going to trick him anyway, why not just pull the trigger right away at Talbot? And the other guys still have their guns.
That's a really good question. I didn't even put that together. I was just like, man, he walked that off real fast.
Yeah.
So they eventually run from Talbot, some shooting, some whatever. Talbot eventually captures Cutter and takes the amulet from Cutter. So now Talbot has both pieces of the amulet. And Marlowe's like, Cutter, you used to be such a good guy on our side. Now you're a piece of shit. Let's burn him down. So they set the tower on that Cutter's on. And Cutter's like, well, I better jump so I don't die. He jumps off the tower and breaks his leg.
No choice whatsoever. You had to jump off.
Yeah. So then they kind of have to escort him out with a broken leg too.
Yeah.
And they eventually get out, escape. That's all Uncharted games are, is puzzles, underground tunnels, and escaping firefights.
Right.
That's, yeah.
It's the loop. Yeah. As they get out, Chloe starts asking the same questions that Sully was asking. Like, Drake, do you really think this is worth it, what we're doing here? I mean, our boy Cutter just broke his leg, and he almost burned to death if he didn't break his leg. So, I mean,
Yeah, right.
it's not much of a choice here. And Nate's like, I can't let them win. I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to let them win. We're going.
Do you think that's the same thing internally that all these Call of Duty cheaters are thinking? Like,
Yeah.
I can't let those cheaters win. I have to cheat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, right?
I think Nate's having a flaw in his character exposed here.
No.
So maybe we'll keep going.
Maybe.
So off to Yemen they go, and Sully's like, I know somebody there, but you're not going to be happy. And Nate's like, no. And when they get in Yemen, guess who's there? Poppascotch.
Fucking Elena.
Oh, Elena Fisher from the first two games.
Oh, my goodness.
God. Shouldn't have blanked on that name that hard.
the
But
journalist.
yeah.
I would assumed you had it written down.
The journalist?
I just
lady?
kept thinking Emily Rose, obviously.
I
And
was
that's-
I was thinking of her character from Haven, and I was like, that's not her name.
Exactly. The actress came to mind.
Yeah, Elaine is there, and she got them press passes, and she's like, all right, you guys are here. I got you press passes. Don't do stupid shit. And Sully's like, all right, I'm leaving. You two can talk. And then Elaine and Nate have a talk about what apparently was a relationship from the last time. Elena's, I guess they're broken up or on a break right now would be the thing. They were married, maybe divorced here. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Were they engaged or married? Well, no, Drake had a ring, so
Yeah.
Yeah, she has a ring on, too.
they were married.
Yeah, they both have rings, so I assume. And then, of course, Elena is trying to give Nate a talking to here about his stupid obsessions and how he has to stop with this. And Nate's like, I'm okay, I can do it. And she's like, no, you're going to get other people hurt, like Sully.
No, that's Sully.
Yeah, like Sully. And Nate's still like, well, you're still wearing the ring. You're obsessed a little bit. No, he doesn't say
Good
that.
comeback.
Yeah.
Good comeback.
Yeah. And she's like, well, it kind of helps me here, which I don't really know Yemen, but maybe I can see that.
Stops people from hitting on her.
Yeah. They're like, well, where do you guys want to go? We're trying to find it. And eventually they also see Talbot's guys are there, which is weird. Well, not weird because they have everything that Nate found.
They don't have the map, do they?
I thought they got it from Talbot.
Yeah. From Cutter.
Yeah, from Cutter. That's it.
Yeah, they got the books. That's right.
That's right. They got everything, didn't they?
Yeah. He was kind of still drugged. He handed it over to them. And blah, blah, blah. They're like, eventually they tell Elena what's going on. And Elena's like, you guys, I got you here. You can't keep doing this. You're obsessed. And Nate's like, no, I'm not obsessed.
Oh, you're the one.
Yeah. But they eventually find the place where they're supposed to go. It's a giant well. And there's puzzles and secret tunnels and entrances. And they eventually find a celestial map. And they're like, this must be the stars from where the thing is. Can you remember this, Sully? And Sully's like, got it.
Right.
Nailed it.
Yep, nailed it. Done. In the head. Which is weird because the stars would be different.
Yeah.
But
Don't get hung up on the details here. Dr.
well,
Science,
I guess Sully can move the stars back 400 years in his head.
Yeah, he's pretty good at this stuff.
But guess what comes out when they find the map? Bugs again. And of course, Elena and Sully and Nate run. And then they end up in this room with like ominous quotes like, death will come to you and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, wow, Drake must have been here and just started writing stupid shit.
Yeah, right.
And then Elena makes a very good point to Drake that doesn't click with him yet. And she's like, he went around the world and traveled thousands of miles to try to find this place. got this far and quit. Why don't you just turn around too?
Nope.
And he's like, no, not going to happen.
I mean, that is a really good point, right?
Yeah.
She's like, whatever he saw or knew was behind that door made him pack up, take all his shit home, lie about what he found.
Yeah, change all his notes and books and history, basically, just so nobody knew what he did and where he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have to figure out why.
Andrea's like, yeah, it's crazy, right? We have to know, right? And she's like, no, we don't.
And they eventually work their way out of the well, and they're walking around. And, of course, Nate gets drugged by a dart.
Oh, no.
And I remember this part being stupid. I hated walking around as you were drugged in this game.
That's the worst. I know what you mean.
Yeah, you're kind of like trying, whatever. But he gets drugged, and then eventually he's walking through these streets, and it starts changing the different streets that he's been in, and blah, blah, blah. And eventually he wakes up, and it's him and Marlo at a table. Mm-hmm. And Marlo's like, I know you're not really Nathan Drake. That's not your name. You're not related to Drake. You're just some orphan doing blah, blah, blah. And Drake's like, oh, shit.
How do you know that?
And she's like, well, I need you anyway because I got to find Sully because we know that he has the map in his head.
Of course he
Awesome.
does. How did they know
Why would
that?
they know that? That's the real question.
I don't know. I do not know that at all. I don't think it's ever explained.
Sully is known by everybody for having a steel trap, and the second he sees something, it's in his brain.
Actually,
Special maps.
I think she explains that when he was drugged, he told them.
Yeah, she does say that.
Oh, so maybe it's their own, like their last chance to figure it out.
Yeah,
Like, well, I
because
hope he has it in
actually
his
says,
head.
like, how do you know that? She's like, well,
Yeah, you
just
told us.
told me everything.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then she tries to like sort of bash Victor to Nathan, I guess, to try and change his opinions on him. Like he's gonna cheat on you. He's gonna cheat you out of money here.
It's more suggestion because he's drugged, I think.
Yeah, but it still doesn't really make sense because whatever. They got to know Nate's better than that, not to fall for such stupid things. And then Nate's like, nope, and flips the table.
Yeah. Good
Nice.
on him.
And he starts chasing Talbot because Talbot came by and said, hey, I know where Sully is. I'm going to go find him. I'm going to go get him. Mm-hmm. And you eventually chase Talbot down and catch Talbot, and you have a fight with Talbot here. And then some guy sneaks up behind you and hits you in the back of the head with a board.
Ooh.
Concussion number 10 for Nate.
At least.
And this time, Nate wakes up tied to a chair on a boat, talking to pirates.
Classic Nate.
Yeah. And he's classic Nate.
I mean, it really is. Like he's often knocked out and waking up tied up.
It's not the first time he's woke up on tied to a chair.
No.
And the guy's like, hey, man.
And we're back. Thanks for coming back, listening to us talk about video games. And now we're going to go into our number 4 video game of every year.
Oh,
I think-
every year.
Every
Of every
game.
year that has ever existed. The best
Are you
video
going to
game.
call Long Island Sal?
Oh,
I
shit.
don't have my fucking board. I can't call anybody.
Yeah, his phone's not here.
Okay.
Yeah, my phone's not here. I can't make that happen. But yeah, you heard it. Great game. We talked about it. Number 4. This is a game we gave a score of 38, so 1 point better
Ooh.
than Uncharted 3. I believe it was a game that took us all kind of by surprise on how much we liked it. Episode number 225, released June 1st, 2023, The Saboteur.
Oh.
Saboteur.
Yeah, it's one that's set in World War II. The guy who drives cars.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that mechanic where it's like if you were in Nazi-occupied territory, it would be black and white.
Yeah.
And then when you
Oh,
liberated
that when
it,
you
the color
liberate.
came
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
And the characters were, I remember them saying something like, man, it just feels different now.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was an interesting way to present the game.
Yeah, it was any game where you kill Nazis is going to be high up on the list, probably.
Yeah.
Absolutely it is. Because fuck them.
Especially if you're a race car driver, too.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what you got to watch out for? Race car Nazis.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
apparently
he
there's,
takes out a couple in this game
he sure
Yeah,
does.
they take him out in a race, don't they?
in the beginning.
Yeah.
Then he gets caught breaking in, and then
Oh, yeah. It's trying to drive the car off a cliff or something.
yeah,
That's right. He was trying to drive the car off a cliff to say fuck you to that other guy. And then the Nazis showed up and like arrested him, but because he was close to like one of their bases, but he didn't know he was.
Yeah,
They just
yeah.
assumed he was like a spy finding their base.
Yeah, because he was. He was
Yeah.
Irish.
but the guy he was with was, and then it was a whole thing. But it
Was he
good.
Irish? Was he Irish?
He was either Welsh or Irish or Scottish or something.
Yeah. Came from around that
Something
area.
that wasn't English.
Yes, yes.
One of those island people.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it was a good one, I think, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
I kind of. It's
It's like Grand
not
Theft
what I
Auto.
expected to be in our top 5.
No.
I remember playing it. I remember, no, I didn't play it. That's right. I remembered I had a roommate that played it. And it came out at a time where I had already played like 3 open world games in a row.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do another one. I can't. Because it was very much like Just Cause-ish.
Yeah.
With
With the liberations and shit.
Yeah, and blowing up stuff. And I think I just played that. So I was like, ugh. But I remember it coming out. I remember being interested in it, but I never played it. It was by Pandemic Studios. Sean Devlin was the main character.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. You started the Nazi titty bar. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
Just a
How do you
titty
forget about that?
Yeah, but it was like full on boobs, like immediately.
Yeah.
The game started.
And
like,
you have to
can we
meet-
Show that? Is this allowed?
And you have to meet somebody and talk to them. Yeah, I remember this.
Veronique is the female.
That's
Anyway,
right.
you guys out there, do you just want to hear us talk about it for real back when we actually did research on this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I kind of remember it. I probably knew more about it then.
that sounds fun.
Well, how about you listen to us talk about it right now?
Interesting.
Well, the game opens up with a dude in a bar in Paris. His name is Sean Devlin. He's your main protagonist through the story, the one you play as.
Sure.
And he's drinking some adult beverages, and an annoying guy sits next to him, and he's like, "Hey, man, I heard you hate Nazis." And he's like, "Yeah, so whatever." And then he eventually ends up calling you a coward, and he's like, "Hey, man, join the resistance and fight these guys. But first, prove it to me."
Yeah, everyone's doing it, dude.
Yeah. So he gives you basically, I guess, a mission to induct you into the resistance, and it's just to blow up a fucking ammo depot. Or it's petrol depot, sorry.
Yes.
So you beat up some Nazis, you parkour up some buildings, and you blow up this thing. I wrote down one of the quotes in here because it made me laugh. He's like, "Make a little explosion because Nazis are trained to investigate explosions."
Awesome.
Wow, that's some good training.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Awesome.
But anyway, you blow up this depot, and you just go back to the bar, and you find out the guy's name is Luke, and he's the head of the resistance. He's like, "Man, it's good to have you aboard." And then, boom, it cuts to a black screen, says 3 months earlier.
Ooh,
Did you mention what your name is?
Sean Devlin, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. I was playing with the soundboard.
I know.
Zach, move. It wasn't me. It was the soundboard.
I know. It makes it funnier.
It's great.
Somehow it's funnier.
Yeah. All right,
Anyway, it cuts to 3 months earlier, and you basically find out that you're a professional driver. And your friend Vittore, who's kind of like your mentor, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah.
He has a car, and he puts you in this race, and you're gonna go racing it. Make a big name for yourself.
Going to Germany.
So you and Vittore and your friend Jules, and I can't remember his last name, and his sister Veronique,
Yeah.
all head out to Germany to bring this car and enter this race. You eventually get to the place where the race is, and you go into a bar, and some dickhead walks in, and he's like a famous race car driver named Dierker. A bunch of stupid things happen, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
There's a bar brawl, whatever. You run outside, and Sean runs into an old flame of his named Skylar.
Fuck buddy.
Yeah, basically, that's what they make it sound like.
Yeah.
She's like, "You got to get out of the cops' way. Follow me." So you run away. Then there's some hanky-panky with Skylar, and then it goes to the next day. And you start the race, and during the race, Dierker, the dickhead German guy, shoots your tire to win.
Mm-hmm.
Which
He's
is
not a cool dude.
No.
The superiority of the German race is trying what he's proved here, but he cheats to win, which I don't get. Anyway, Vittori, like afterwards, you're like, "I'm going to go fuck him up." And Vittori's like, "No, man, you can't do it. I'm not letting you at him." And then you're like, "All right, I'm just going to fuck up his car because they're going to show it off tomorrow and it won't be anywhere."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's driving off a cliff, bro.
And Skylar warns you, he's like, "Don't fuck with Dierker. He's going to be mad and you can't get caught and whatever." So Jules is like, "I'll go with you." So you and Jules go and break into this compound that Dierker's at, which I believe is called Doppelsig. Yeah, whatever.
Sure is.
Is
Something like that. No, I don't know.
I think it is. But you break in, you find his car. I guess you hotwire it. I don't know. I don't know how cars in the 40s work.
I think they just had buttons you push.
Maybe.
I think he just yelled at him, and they started.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
And you steal his car and you drive it off a cliff.
Oh, sick.
But you get caught by some soldiers and get knocked out. This is the first knockout scene. So you wake up to your buddy Jules getting tortured by Dierker.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, man, tell me who you're working for in British Intel. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. And then he comes over and asks you. And he's like, whatever. And he's like, well, if you're not going to talk, I'm going to shoot Jules. And he shoots Jules right in the head. Boom.
Oh,
Right there, right in front of you.
And you like break your chains and attack Dierker. And you kill a bunch of Nazis and you eventually escape. But you get to outside the thing and you find the Gestapo's attacking your friends. And you're all like, hey, we got to get out of here. Let's escape to Paris.
okay.
It'll be safe there, guys.
Yeah. There's no way the Germans are going to take Paris in a couple of years.
Not at all.
But you eventually escape to Paris and you tell Jules' parents that Jules is dead. And you're like, I'm going to get revenge. And then it kind of cuts to black. And of course, as anybody knows, the Germans take Paris.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah.
It's wild, man.
When was that? Like, when you went to Germany to do the race, right? It was like 3 months ago.
Yeah. There were plenty of Nazis around.
So were Nazis already? I think they were already invading Poland at this point and Norway.
I assume so. It was 1940.
Yeah, I don't know why you're all okay with doing a race.
I assume it was around 3 months before they invaded France, which wouldn't be.
Paris fell to the Nazis on June 14th, 1940, so it would have been March-ish.
Yeah, March-ish, but anywhere between March and June. But I guess you're safe in Paris. So that's the origin story behind our protagonist, Sean Devlin.
Mm-hmm.
He vows revenge against the Germans for shooting his friend.
Okay.
So then it cuts back to the future, and it cuts to you and Luke's like, hey, man, you're great. Thanks for blowing up Nazi shit. And Veronique's there, and she's like, hey, you're just going to piss Nazis off, and they're going to be coming for you. And you talk to Vittori again, and oh, no, the Nazis took Vittori.
Yeah, because of the
Because
fuel depot exploded.
the fuel depot exploded. So like, oh, we got to cut down this resistance. And for some reason, they took Vittori.
Well, he's probably the biggest threat.
Yeah. So you got to save him. And there's a mechanic here where you steal uniforms and people don't know you're a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
And you sneak into the compound. You eventually see Vittori there, save him. And Luke gets shot. And he's like, well, the bombers are coming. Let's go. So you escape with Luke and Vittori. And they take you to the resistance headquarters. Blah, blah, blah. And you have to do some stealing and trading for antibiotics and stuff to save Luke.
That's where you meet Santos.
Yeah, Santos. Yeah, you meet Santos here as like a black market dealer.
Yeah.
He always has you run jobs for him to get things you need.
Yeah, trade contraband for...
Yeah, contraband for antibiotics or fake papers, whatnot.
Now, I don't know if you know this, Dr. Scientist. Have any of us played this? I have not played it.
No,
No.
have not.
Is Santos also just like another vendor in the game, or is he just like a mission giver? I think he's just a vendor too. Well, he's both. I
Yeah.
think.
Well, he gives you missions because you have to do missions to get the shit that
Yeah.
he's selling. So,
Okay.
Yeah, because he's like, you do this for me, I'll give you what you need.
yeah, he's both.
And so you go back to the resistance, and they're like, hey, man, you need to prove yourself. Go break out some foreign legion soldiers that are in the thing. We'll get more allies if you do this. So that's what you do. Break into this German thing. Break out a guy named Le Crochet and all his friends.
The crochet.
So yeah, you're looking better and better. You're making allies to try to join the resistance.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then this scene happens where Skylar shows up and is like, hey, man, let's have a drink. And you're like, all right, I'm going to get laid. But nope, she drugs you.
Oh, no. She dropped a Mickey in his drink.
Yep. And you wake up and there's a dude in front of you who's extremely British. And he's like, his name is Bishop.
Of course it is.
And he's like, I want to recruit you for something. Do a favor for me. I don't know why. Like, why would you try and recruit him without knowing whatever?
Yeah, just some random guy. It's like, hey, just get this thing for me.
Yeah, I think it's also weird that you had like a double cross that wasn't really a double cross. It was more like we're gonna knock you out so you can come meet my boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you don't know the way.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it makes you think that she's going to be extremely evil, but she's on the Britain side, which are the good guys. So he explains that if you do a favor for him, he'll wipe your record, which they don't really explain too much of how you have a record and you're not allowed back in Ireland.
Yeah, they don't go into that, really, do they? Maybe in like other side missions, but
he's like, I'll clear your record and I'll tell you where Dierker is if you go steal a box from a graveyard full of Nazis.
You're like, all right, I guess I'll do it.
I was going to do that anyway.
Yeah, really. So Sean gets an outfit. He goes and sneaks into this mausoleum full of Nazis, and he finds the box that Dierker wants. And curiosity gets the best of him, and he opens it.
Oh, it's Marcellus Wallace's soul,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's exactly what it is.
Oh, they just said in his backstory that he was wanted by the Irish government for a number of crimes.
Yeah, I didn't think they...
Yeah, they don't tell you what.
I think he was like a gangster back home before any of this happened.
I thought he was a race car driver. But, yeah. Maybe he's a moonshiner.
Maybe?
I don't know.
Did they need to moonshine in
I
Ireland?
don't know. I don't know shit about Ireland.
I mean, it was over in the U.S. by the 40s.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But he did something bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, he opens it up, and it is just a glowing thing, and they don't show you what it is.
No.
And Skylar shows up, who's apparently been following you this whole time, and was like, well, she was going to pick you up outside. She's like, it's smart if you just forget what you saw. And
Yeah,
he's like, all right, let's carry this big box out of here. And you give it to Bishop, and he's like, did you look? And you're like, no, there's no way I would have looked.
He's just like you said, it's none of my business.
Yep. And then he's like, hey, Dierker's in town. You can go get him, which is a really shitty way of coming through on your promise here.
Yeah, he's over here before he flies away. Go get him.
Yeah, I hated that. It was like, oh, I know I said I would give you Dierker, but he's actually less than a mile from here. Go get him, buddy.
Yeah, it's not even like Bishop is a dick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he gets? He gets a...
Yeah, fuck that guy.
And while we're at it...
So you're like, all right, I'll drive a mile away and break into this Nazi hideout to find Dierker. And you do. And Dierker kind of like, there's shots fired, and you end up on a Zeppelin, and you fight with Dierker. And Dierker jumps off with a parachute, and then the Zeppelin starts going down on fire. And it kind of just cuts to a scene where you're coming out of water.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I crashed in the water, and Sean survived. They never really explained how that happened.
No, it's pretty lucky. It's like he came to on the shore almost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I even there must have been something cut out from the video. So I checked other videos to see, and it's like right at the end. It just cuts right to this scene. So I guess that's not a great way to have your story go, but it's never explained how he does it, but you live. So, And then there's a scene where Vittori's like scolding you. He's like, you can't go for revenge. It's not what you're doing. And I wish I would have wrote what he says, because all I wrote was, you're a dick about it. So I guess it's just like, I'm going to go revenge all I want. I don't want to help people.
I don't get this part, because it was like he had the choice of, and Luke was like, this resistance is bigger than your bullshit.
Yeah. And he's like, no, my bullshit's bigger.
Yeah.
It's like, if we don't pull this off, a lot of resistance members are going to die, and the Nazis are going to like really secure their foothold in Paris. And then he's like, sorry, I got to go take care of my bullshit.
Yeah, he's like, that's not why I'm here.
Yeah. And yeah, he comes into Luke and Veronique drinking. He's like, hey, there's cells who want to join, and we're going to send you to see if they'll join. So you just ask them and convince them to join us.
Yeah, the guy who's not really all into the whole thing.
Yeah,
It's like, go ask other people to join.
Didn't really make much sense to me either.
Yeah.
I was like, why are you sending this guy who nobody's going to know?
Go send an Irishman on behalf of France.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
So you go, and they're like, hey, Santos, you go to Santos to try and get papers to go through some checkpoints. And he's like, hey, blow up a German convoy for me. And you're like, all right. So you blow it up, and he gives you the things. So then you get to this cell, and I believe you meet Margot here. Yeah, Margot. And she's like, hey, all you got to do is prove to us that you are on our side, and we'll join your fight in the revolution here. Well, resistance is more. Resistance.
Yeah.
It's like, go save our guys from the Nazi camp, which you're like, all right, that's what I'll do.
Fine.
So you go and save Bryman here, who is a member of her gang. And she's like, all right, we'll help you in the resistance. So you go back to Luke and all kinds of other stuff, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, well, we got to do some more stuff against the Nazis. Let's blow up a siege gun. Why not?
Yeah, sabotage the Nazi cannon. That's what I've written.
That's what you do. So you climb up on top of a building and you sabotage a Nazi like anti-aircraft gun.
Oh yeah, it's like an asinely large cannon on top of like a
corner
tower
store
of some sort.
Yeah. So you do that. And then you get to Bishop, and he's like, hey, do you know why Jules was killed? And you're like, well, because we drove a dude's car off a cliff. And he's like, no. They were killed because they thought you and Jules saw too much. And he kind of explains here that the place you broke into and drove the car off a cliff was actually a German atomic fission research lab.
Of course it was.
Yeah, which is amazing that you could just jump a fence and go steal a car from.
Yeah, because if you were spying, you would definitely drive a car off a cliff.
Yeah.
To draw attention to yourself.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Like they never put it together that, oh, this is just some asshole in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, he didn't know the guy he shot's fucking wheel.
Yeah, and whatever.
Yeah.
Well, they still broke into a government, military research place, but
still.
But like, Sean Devlin probably has this whole history of racing.
Yeah.
And I could see where like Durker and the Germans would be like, oh, you're a spy because we heard of English spies around here and you were on the grounds of our super secret project that we know you know about and they're spying on.
yeah.
But in reality, you just get dragged into this because you were in the wrong fucking place and you decide to trash this car.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you wanted to have a little drunk pal around with your buddy.
Because you wanted to have a little comedy and drive some guy's car off a cliff.
I like it. I kind of like how that develops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I do. I like how it's like,
Just wrong place, wrong time.
yeah, just wrong place, wrong time. You killed his buddy trying to get information. Eventually, I'm sure Durker was like, fuck this guy. I don't think this guy knows anything.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm a Nazi. I got to keep being evil. You know, that's what we do. And then Devlin's basically like, oh, you just fucked with the wrong dude. And then makes it his life goal to destroy every Nazi, including Durker in Paris.
Yeah.
I like
the way you
like
put
how
it,
we
it
got
made
there.
it much better than in my head.
Right.
Well, it doesn't have to always be like you're the one-man army hero guy. This was just a guy that's like, I know explosives and I hate Nazis. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So they also explained to you that a German scientist is defecting to their cause, and he's going to be on a train. So we're going to board the train, blow up the train, but save the guy from it and make them think he's dead.
Perfect. Makes total sense,
Yep.
man.
So that's what you do. You jump on this train, and you eventually fight your way through the train, killing a bunch of Nazis, and you get to Dr. Kessler, and he's like, are you Dr. Kessler? He's like, are you the guy from trying to get me? He's like, yeah. And he's like, haha, I knew it was you. And he gets up to shoot you, and there's a fight. You end up killing him. And then you find the real Dr. Kessel tied up in a closet.
Fucking Nazi trickery, dude.
Yeah, the Nazis almost
Knew it.
had you. And you're like, come on, we got to save you. Put your papers on that guy so they think that you're the dead guy, and we'll jump off this train. So you jump off the train. You're like, all right, we got to hide Kessler, and we'll take him to Luke, and he'll figure out whatever. But then as you're driving there, Dr. Kessler's like, I'm not going to do anything for you guys until you save my daughter, who's held by the Germans. They're forcing me to work so I can get my daughter back. So you got to save her.
Okay.
Yeah. And they try to say no. They're like, nah, fuck you. And he's like, well, I'll just kill myself then.
Yeah, he's like, I can just leave.
Yeah.
And then there's some talk of Skylar and Luke here of joining up between Britain and the French resistance and trying to stop the Nazi advance, blah, blah, blah. Historical stuff.
Makes sense.
And once again, you do some bullshit for Santos. And you have to earn trust of the next group, which is Duval Mingo, who's the Southern Rebel leader of Paris.
It's when they want to have like a 3-group leader meetup.
Yeah.
And Luke. And Sean.
Yeah. Some guy who really doesn't care, and the 3 leaders.
Yeah. Makes sense, dude.
And they're all meeting out in the public
Yeah.
at night
Yeah, just in
an
the
occupied
middle.
state. What?
No, just like in the middle of a courtyard under a huge public statue.
Yeah. In the
Totally
middle of
makes
an
sense.
occupied city. So guess what happens?
Did the Germans find out?
Yes, the Germans ambush.
Oh, not the Z's.
You nailed it.
And blah, blah, blah. Eventually, everybody escapes, and they go and they all have a meeting. And they tell you that they hatched this great plan, and there's a great Nazi Grand Prix that's going to happen, and you're going to race in it.
Makes sense. I could pretend I'm a German.
Yeah. They're like, hey, I know you don't really want to do it, but guess who else is going to be in the race?
Not the Nazi race car driver.
Yeah, the Nazi race car driver.
God.
Dirker.
The guy he's been looking to get back at the entire fucking game.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
amazing.
Not only can I beat him at a race, but I can get back at him too.
Sweet.
And he's like, go see Vittore. He has some stuff. And he's like, well, guess where our car is?
Oh my God, it's here in Germany?
Yeah.
Or no, Paris.
A man named Eckhart has it, who's kind of like the German leader. I guess he's above Dirker. And he's like, let's go steal it and get it back. You're like, all right, so you steal it. Do some stupid mission, killing Nazis, whatever.
Sure.
And they're like, I know how we can hide this car from everybody. Let's paint it red.
Oh, sick.
So you do.
I love that. Like, we have this famous car that everybody in the racing circuit knows about. It actually has its own name.
The
Yeah.
Aurora.
The Aurora. The Aurora. And they're like, all right, well, we can't use the Aurora. Everyone's going to know it's the Aurora. They're like, I have an idea. Let's make it red.
Yep. Nobody will know.
Sick. Stupid Z's.
Stupid Z's.
I got tired of writing Nazi out, so I just called them Z's from here on out.
So then you also, while you're waiting for the race, you're like, all right, let's go save Kessler's daughter. We know where she is. We're going to do it. So you break into another Nazi compound, save Kessler's daughter, Maria, and save some resistance members, and you blow up some bullshit. And you ignite the Kesslers. And then all of a sudden, the Nazis attack the resistance headquarters.
Oh, shit.
And of course,
Damn.
they followed you. They couldn't have, blah, blah, blah. You fight off some Nazis. Some explosions happen. And eventually, Luke and Veronique are there. And like, we'll hold them off. You guys escape. So everybody else kind of escapes through the back while Luke and Veronique are holding off the things. Blah, blah, blah. I believe Luke gets stuck under some rubble here or some bullshit, whatever.
I think that's after
Is that
they go to
last?
the catacomb base first.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, you go there and you find Luke, and he's like, guess what? They captured Veronique, but I got away.
Yeah.
And Sean's like, well, we got to save her. And he's like, no, we can't. We have to let her go, and we have to stop the Nazis with our plans.
This is more about
And,
the resistance.
Yeah, and Sean's like, no, screw your plan. I'm going to save my friend.
Again, for the second time, like, I'm dealing with my bullshit, not your silly
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
Like
resistance.
how many times does he have to say it?
Yeah, he's very consistent as a character. I'll say
Right,
that.
yeah.
It's, I don't know why they would still go through the whole plan, because they're like, just invade your place. Like, they got to know the plan, right? Or they just
You'd
know.
think.
Yeah, I would think so, but they don't seem to think so. So
Well, they just
whatever.
thought he was followed there, so they don't think
Oh,
there's
maybe, yeah.
a mole yet.
Then you meet up with your old buddy Bryman, and he's like, hey, we'll set up some wiretaps. Here's some Nazi shit. Blah, blah, blah. But eventually he tells you that they find out where Veronique is, and they find out that there's a turncoat. And
Interesting.
We call them rats.
yeah,
Where I'm from.
there's some elaborate plan to like take over Zeppelins and stuff and save Veronique. I didn't even write down what it was. It was a dumb plan.
Yeah, it was. He's like, really? You're gonna make me go in there in
Yeah.
a Zeppelin? But it works.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it does. I'll give him that. And some zip lines, I believe, are involved.
yeah.
And whatever. But eventually they break into the prison and save Veronique.
She was about to be executed, actually.
Yeah, I believe a guy was executed right next to her before they saved her.
Yep.
And then eventually save her, go back to the headquarters, and Luke's like, oh man, it's good to see you.
Yeah, she's all cool with it. She's like, I know Luke's all about this resistance, so
Yeah.
can't
And she's
blame
like,
him.
whatever. And he's like, hey, Luke, there's a turncoat in the ranks. And he's like, hey man, there's nothing we can do. We got to go through with the plan. Which I even wrote seems pretty dumb, but. And then there's like, let's load the car with explosives and we're going to blow it up. And that's going to be the symbol for the rebels to attack. So you got to go in this race, win. And he's like, I ain't racing. Fuck that. So then eventually they're like, well, Vittoria's going to race instead.
Yup.
Someone's got to race, guys. If you're not going to do it, Sean, then it's got to be Vittori.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
right before the race starts, Sean and Vittoria are talking. And Sean's basically like, nope, I'm driving. And he KOs Vittoria and he takes over the car.
KO.
And I even wrote here, isn't Dirker going to know who this guy is?
That's what I thought too. He's trying to pose as a German.
Yeah, first he shot your tire out in another race. And then
And
you
then-
attacked him in the Zeppelin.
I swear, I think Dierker's like face blind.
Maybe.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, right?
So then there's this bullshit with the race. And during the race, Bryman gets attacked and he's like, oh, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You win the race. You drive the car right at the guys and you blow up the car under the Eiffel Tower, but you jump out just in time.
Yeah, you think you're going to kill Dierker with that, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't do it.
Nope.
And then you find out that Santos was the one betraying you all along. 'Cause
Really?
He ends up like, guys, just give up. I honestly didn't expect
I'll
it.
get better at the cues, guys. I'll get better at the cues.
No, I thought it would be somebody else.
Yeah,
But then, yeah, it makes sense. Santos was a prick to begin with the whole
yeah.
time.
Well, he was kind of just a black arms dealer. But
Well, he also said several times during the game, like, he also sent you on a mission to blow up Nazi cigarettes so he could sell cigarettes to the
Yeah.
Nazis.
I guess maybe they just paid him
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Maybe something like that. Doesn't matter. But anyway, Santos is betrayed.
And we're back. Welcome back to Plotty Time.
Whoa, it's got you there.
Whoa, coming in hot. As you guys know, that was the Saboteur. We talked about it. We enjoyed it. We had fun. You heard our banter.
It was clever.
Bantery. Yeah.
Man, we are some smart and articulate motherfuckers, right?
I know. It's hard to believe we don't write this shit down before we do it. You know,
Do you remember what you said from that clip we just played? What was it again?
something about boners. I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. I
don't
Always
remember.
with the boners. All right. Well, let's go ahead. We'll move into our next game here. This is actually a tie, so I forgot to mention that. Sorry.
Oh shit!
But the 4 spot has 2 games in it.
Okay, so this is the other
Another
spot.
38.
This is the other 38 that is also in the 4 spot. It is a game that I played, I think we all played years ago.
Years ago.
And just got this. It also has a score of 38. It was episode 222,
Oh, triple deuces.
May 11th,
Oh, the first
2023. It is Infamous 2.
Oh shit! Yeah, I remember
That was
that.
this year?
That was this year. I remember after we talked about it, I went back and played it because it was streaming on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Plus. And I enjoyed it. That's a great game.
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man before Spider-Man.
It really was. Yeah. Instead of web slinging, you like electro glide.
Yeah, electricity and
electro hover.
flying around, whatever the hell. Static.
Oh, it's so fun. Yeah, just all the Infamous games were so good.
They're really good.
They should make another one.
I'm surprised they haven't.
Yeah, I mean, they did, what was it?
Second Son.
Second Son and First Light?
Yeah.
They were like early days of PS4, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't made one in a long time.
That's surprising. They should bring that shit back. It was great. They're always fun to play.
Yeah, Second Son was the one where you could steal powers from things and
Who makes that? Insomniac?
no.
Who makes Spider-Man? Insomniac?
Yeah, Insomniac does make Spider-Man. I think it's
Okay.
the same.
Maybe it's in something.
I thought it was the same. Yeah, I thought that's why they don't make them anymore.
No, Sucker Punch does.
Sucker
this.
Punch.
That's right.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They do this and Sly, which also we don't have another game about.
Yeah, that's true.
It's amazing how Insomniac can do like Spider-Man. It can do Ratchet and Clank. Like it's working on several major properties, and Sucker Punch is like, we're just doing one at a time.
Yeah, well, probably doesn't work for them. That's why they're not doing it anymore.
Oh, Sucker Punch also did Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, that explains why they don't do anything lately. Too busy making a wide open world.
Exactly. But I remember replaying it. It was a lot of fun. I went on a good run because you had the ice launch thing.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
ice launch power where you could just stand there, launch, and then start flying. And
That was still, that was by far the best move in any of them.
it kind of made the whole level that's like flooded over worthless
Yeah.
because it didn't matter. You just jump out of the water.
Oh, right. Yeah, but that was like one of the few games I'd play both ways too. Play it again, you know?
That's a good point. Because I do remember going through the evil
Yeah.
section. I remember the evil section being like cartoonishly evil.
Yeah.
But it was more cartoonishly evil in the first one because the evil playthrough you were playing with what's her name and you would absorb
Nyx.
her powers, Nyx. And then
Oh, right.
a lot of her stuff was she felt some kind of connection to the beasts, not the beast, but like these creatures.
Yeah, the creatures in the swamp.
And she wanted to use them against the beast, and instead you killed them all. And she's like, "What are you doing? Oh my god,
Yeah.
my babies!"
My babies.
But Nyx is a great character. Cole's a great character. His fucking bro, who spent the entire game apologizing to
He's
him.
been a dick in every
Well,
one.
he was a fucking dick.
Yeah, he was.
What the hell was his name?
Nelson
No.
Quidditch.
No.
Nelson
Hank.
Quidditch.
No.
Hank?
Spank?
No.
It might be Spank.
It could be. Stink face.
Clint
No.
Scarface. I'm bringing it up right now.
Clobber.
Zeke.
Zeke.
So close.
Clobber was right there. And you had Kessler show up, who
Kessler
was
is you.
future Cole.
Oh, shit. Spoiler.
Oh, yeah.
Spoiler
If you
for a
didn't play-
game that
if you
came
played
out in
Infamous 1.
If you didn't listen to
Fucking-
that episode.
2012. This game, 2011. This game came out. We're allowed to spoil it.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's 12 years ago.
I mean,
the podcast is about spoiling games.
I know, for real.
yeah, that's our whole thing. That's exactly, we explain everything that happened in the game. Yeah,
Almost
so
flawlessly.
that was Infamous 2. How about you listen to us talk about it right now?
Well, the game starts with a basic recap of the first Infamous game, which we do much better in our podcast. Go listen to-
Absolutely.
But basically, Cole is what is called a conduit, gets powers. And he has to try and stop the beast. which is the big baddie from the first, whatever happens. Anyway, you're in a city called Empire City, which is analogous to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Lucy Quo's there, who I believe is like your FBI contact in the first game, maybe? I don't know for sure.
No, that's
she's
a
not?
different woman.
Okay,
No,
but
this is just a random woman.
this is just a different
A new
FBI
agent,
contact. Okay.
I think she might have shown up at the end of the first game. I don't exactly remember. Because I saw a synopsis of the two that lasted like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I just thought, well, she knows John White too. That's kind of why thought it was the same one.
Gotcha.
But anyway, she's like, hey, there's this guy in New Marais, which is kind of the New Orleans of this world. He's like, he knows how to get you new powers. All right, let's go there. But in the meantime, Empire City gets attacked by the Beast, which is a kaiju type human being. More like Attack on Titan, I guess.
Yeah. Attack on Titan.
I just wanted, because I didn't realize this as we were reading. I've played both these games. I believe you guys. Have you guys played them?
I played both of them. I remember
I played
a lot.
at least the first one.
I remember the maps because I was watching this. I'm like, oh, I remember exactly where he
I
is.
don't remember.
Yeah, I know. That did not feel. Yeah. So the woman from previously who was working with John in the first game was a liar. She was not an FBI agent. And then Quo came in at the end of the game saying, I was actually John's partner.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
This is how we could do this.
Word
So that's
up.
how they move forward.
But anyway, the game starts out with you fighting the Beast in a very God of War type beginning where you fight some monster.
Right.
And you end up kind of beating him, but he kind of wins too and ends up destroying Empire City, and your powers are kind of like, you say broken.
Oh, shit. That's a bingo spot.
Yeah, you lose all your powers. Not all of them, but you're kind of drained a little bit.
Yeah.
And the Beast just, came back. And then Cole starts waxing poetic about not having enough power to stop the Beast. So we're going to go and get super powerful. So they start heading towards New Marais. And while they're doing this, the Beast is just going down the East Coast, destroying cities after city.
Yeah. See, they don't show you that. Do they?
No, they don't show you that, but I fucking love it when you hit the pause menu.
Yeah,
And
shows
it
where
has the
Beast
map
is.
of the U.S. and it just shows where the Beast is, the trail he's going down.
Yeah.
I love
did
it. It's just it makes it just a little bit more tense.
Yeah, like you
The
have a
whole
time.
game. It's great.
Do you have a time limit?
No,
No.
It's just by the
but
missions.
how far you go
yeah.
in the story.
Yeah, okay.
So after a bunch of bullshit, you get to New Marais. And it's kind of run by a group called the Militia, sort of a bunch of rednecks that take over.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Classic South shit.
Yeah, basically. And so you just go looking for power. And then Cole has like a flashback where he's like, hey, I came here and I learned parkour here, which is pretty interesting. When it was destroyed by the flood, which I guess is the Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Jumping from rooftop to rooftop.
Yeah.
No cops around.
At least they explained how he became good at parkour.
Yeah, he was a parkour before the first game started. He was into it.
Yeah, he was a bike messenger.
Yeah, this is way past the first game. In the past.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying he didn't get electrical powers and parkour skills.
Oh, yeah.
He was doing parkour before.
Yeah,
That would be a shitty conduit skill, huh? What happened? Like, I can parkour.
But some of them can turn into fucking kaijus. It's
Yeah.
very confusing, these powers.
yeah, they're random, I guess. Some have
Yeah.
freezing powers.
Oh, then someone's going to get your fucking dreaded power, which is you can guess somebody's hat size.
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
I can microwave burritos.
Like perfectly every time.
That's why I'm the worst Highlander.
Anyway, you eventually figure out that you should go see Dr. Wolf because he was the guy who invented ray spheres. He knows a lot about sphere energy, which is what gave you your powers from the first game, and unlocks other conduits. So you go see him, and he's like, "Hey, man, my blast core was stolen. You got to find it for me." So, all right, you eventually hunt it down, get it. Then you get a call from him, and he's like, "Oh, good." And then there's an explosion. You're like, "No!"
What?
It doesn't matter. You go find him again. And he's like, hey, I built this thing called a ray field inhibitor, which can shut down the beast's powers and like kind of stop him from destroying everybody. But it's not powerful enough yet. And you got to find blast cores to get enough power to do this. Because conveniently, if you run electricity through a blast core, it releases ray energy and is absorbed by whoever's around.
Yeah, so only he can do it because
He's electric.
he's electric and everyone else has different powers.
So you
But
do
that-
it. Oh, go ahead.
I also like how that's another upgrade mechanic then. Is
Yeah.
when you find one of those, you get a new power.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
But so the ray sphere if exploded, would kill every normal person and basically like unlock the people that have the conduit gene.
Yes, and he built a Rayfield inhibitor, the RFI,
Which does the opposite.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
which they figure is the only way they can beat the beast.
Which makes sense. I mean, it's as good a plan as any, right?
Yeah, it's better than trying to hit him with electricity again.
I still don't understand why they, like, all the other people who were conduits, which I guess there weren't many at this point, right?
It seems like there's a lot.
Yeah.
Doesn't it travel around the world, or is it just like radiation that goes slowly?
It's radiation kind of that.
Okay.
They explain it later.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah.
So you run electricity through this blast core, and you start absorbing all this power, and you pass out. Then you wake up, and they're like, "Oh man, I kind of feel stronger." And then they have a bunch of random filler quests, and then Quo tells you how her and John, they knew they were conduits, and that's why they were selected to infiltrate the First Sons, which is the bad guys from the first game,
Right. Oh, that
Right,
makes
right.
sense.
which was run by Kessler. So
Yes.
Yes.
then you've figured out that also that the militia took Wolf and is kind of torturing him, and the militia is run by a rich guy named Bertrand, who is just too realistic in this time of day.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff really hit home.
Yeah.
You're like, back then, there's no way a huge bigot could lead a bunch of rednecks into a point of power, right? That would never happen.
But guess what? He's having a rally. Who would do that?
Who would do that?
Good old Birdie.
Poppascotch, I love that quote.
Who
would do that? Anyway, so they're at this rally later on in the day, and Cole's trying. Did I ever mention that your name's Cole? You play as
Yeah.
Cole McGrath? Okay. He's kind of watching the rally from and his buddy Zeke is there, who is a dick in the first game, and he's trying to make up for it in this one.
Yeah, he's a totally different person in this one.
Well, he really did fuck up in the first game.
Yeah.
So
What did he do in the first game?
listen to our podcast and find out.
Oh, did you forget what he does?
No, he blew up a ray sphere
To try to get powers.
He didn't get any powers.
Okay, I forgot. I forgot what he did.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
But then the rally starts getting attacked by these kind of like feral monsters that are they kind of look like Dead Space monsters a little bit.
Yeah, they got like the sort of praying mantis arm things.
Yeah,
That's the vibe I got.
they're biorecombinated.
Yeah, that's what it is.
There's like, was it the Dead Space 2008? Yeah, this doesn't matter. Anyway, as
It
you were saying.
doesn't matter.
But anyway, Bertrand runs away, and then a bunch of bullshit, and you have to fight a helicopter.
Oh, yeah, you get clotheslined off the top of a limo with a fucking helicopter.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that had to hurt.
A little bit. A little bit. So, blah, blah, some other stuff. There's a lot of time where you can do random quests and stuff going on in here. And go searching for blast shards. So you eventually follow Bertrand's interrogator, who likes to go gamble. So you're like, all right, he's going to come out here. I'll follow him wherever he goes. He's got to be torturing Wolf for answers, right? So we'll just follow him. So you do that. And then you find Wolf, and then another monster attack, a bigger monster called a Ravager.
Ooh.
Doesn't matter. You eventually beat the Ravager. Then you escape with Wolf, and you're on a truck, and you're like, oh, let's get out of here. And you're driving, and then you're hit by another truck,
Oh, shit.
Oh, that's right.
and you
Yep.
get thrown from it, and
It's Wolf
Wolf
attack?
gets killed,
No.
and Quo gets captured because Quo helped you try and get through.
Or Wolf.
And then Cole's like, man, what can I do? This is just being a pain in the ass. I gotta stop the beast. Blah blah blah. And then Zeke calls and he's like, hey man, I'm kind of like in the militia now. I kind of know where Quo is.
I love that. He's just like went undercover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he fit right in with the rednecks.
Yeah, I mean, we were all thinking it. He looks
Yeah.
like Elvis,
Right.
Yeah, like one of those fat Elvis
Cooler.
impersonators.
but cooler.
Anyway, he's like, I heard there's a conduit in the swamp. You should go look for her.
In the moonshine shacks?
Yeah. So you go to the swamp, and it ends up not being Quo who's out there, but another woman named Nyx, who is a conduit. And she has like, I don't know if it's like oil, napalm type stuff she throws at people and can burn. And
Yeah.
she can also like teleport.
Like Night Stalker with.
Yeah, kind of like Night Stalker with napalm powers.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
It's pretty sick. I'll say that.
It
It's
is
like
pretty
sick,
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
And she kind of like hates the militia too. And she's like, hey, maybe we'll work together. We don't know. We'll see what happens. But you do find a blast core there.
Oh,
You're like, cool.
nice.
And Nyx is like, here, have it. You're like, all right. So you go and hang out with Zeke and use the blast core because he watches you while you pass out.
Yeah, really watches you. He's
Yeah.
usually passed out when you wake up.
Yeah.
What a bum.
And I wrote down the power it gives you because I thought it was the coolest power in the game. I remember using it a lot. The power with the vortex power, where you kind of just like throw and that fucking tornado goes out ahead of you.
Oh,
yeah.
that was awesome. Yes.
Anytime there's a bunch of enemies in front of you, you just fucking do it.
Right.
Because it does massive damage and it pushes everyone away.
Yeah.
And when you're in those fights, it's a little hairy when everyone's in close.
So then, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that power I specifically remember, and the only one I remembered before watching the video was the tether.
Oh, I only remembered that one and then the ice jump, because the ice jump was
I
awesome.
forgot all about the ice jump. But watching the gameplay videos, I'm like, yes, it's pretty like ice jump, hover, tether somewhere.
Yeah.
It was the beginning of Spider-Man movement.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of Spider-Man parallels, but makes sense.
So then Zeke is like, hey, man, this guy Bertrand is storing his deviants somewhere. So maybe he has Quo where he's keeping all of them.
It's got to be it.
And he's like, she's on this plantation. We'll have to go there. Oh, by the way, there's two different ways to go in the story, the good and the bad. I'm going to do the good story because that's the canon one. We can talk about the bad one after.
No, it's not canon.
Yeah, it is.
The bad ending is canon.
Are you sure?
Is it?
Yeah. That's why they never made an Infamous 3.
Well,
They did though. Oh,
Yeah.
they didn't with Cole.
Because more people played the good ending. I don't know. I watched some video about it, but I don't know. I don't know if it's true.
well, no, that'd be the good ending.
More people played the good ending. Yeah, but they wanted to keep going. The actual writer wanted to make a 3 with, oh, you're right. The bad ending being the canon, but it didn't work out.
Either way, we got Festival of Blood out of it. That's fucking sick, and I can't wait to do that one.
I know, but it kind of made you think of if you could fly in Infamous and realized why you couldn't, because it was just too good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So anyway, you're doing this stuff, and then you eventually attack this plantation, and you find out in like some sub basement or whatever that Quo is there, and she's tied to this device, and she's kind of like really cold, and you eventually save her and you get her out, and you find out that she's also had her powers unlocked because of Bertrand. And you eventually find out that he was stealing her powers and trying to give them to other people.
Oh my God, did it work?
I don't know. We'll find out. But you eventually get her out, and she needs the rest. So you're like, all right, let me go turn power on other places and do some other quests, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And you eventually come back to her, and she's like, I'm no longer an agent because I have ice powers. So they kicked me out of the FBI.
Why would they kick her out?
I don't know.
You don't you think they'd use her as like at least an undercover or something? She could be very useful if she
Yeah.
still cared about the
She
law.
could have still done her job.
Yeah, what the hell? It doesn't matter. Well, they're very strict about who they hire, I guess. So.
I guess so.
But you do some bullshit teaching her how to control her powers, and you combine her powers with her and stuff. And you eventually, you all start seeing plague victims because there's a plague going around in the world, and people are dying from it. It started in Empire City, and
I wonder what started it.
yeah, who knows?
I don't think we'll ever know, guys.
Yeah.
No.
So you eventually screwing around doing things with Quo, you find out another blast core in the graveyard. And you're like, all right, I'll use that one. So you use that one, whatever. And after you use that one, you wake up, you're like, Nyx calls you, and she's like, hey, I want to show you something. And you're like, all right. So you go to the swamp and you visit her. She takes you through this long swamp thing, fighting off monsters and bullshit. And she takes you to a spot where there's a huge crater in the ground, a lot like the one that you made in Infamous 1 when you used the ray sphere.
She gonna tell us her story?
And she does tell us her story and how she became a
Does
conduit. Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
She says that Bertrand brought all the poor and the homeless and people and stuff there and used the ray sphere there and killed everybody, which is her whole family and whatnot. And the only people who survived are her and Bertrand. So you kind of deduce that Bertrand is a conduit also.
So I deduce that it's a small percentage chance that you're a conduit.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he did it? Was he a conduit already? Or
He
did,
had to
did
know.
He I gotta try.
I don't know. Well, there's also this side story that he was making Dr. Wolf do things for him, which I kind of skipped. So I think it had something to do with
Oh,
that.
maybe. Yeah.
Sure.
But then you find all that out and so whatever. And Zeke gives you a call and he's like, hey man, I found that machine they used to torture Quo. He's like, they've been driving around town. We got to stop him because he's using it to make other people conduits. And he's storing it in Fort Philippe.
Okay.
So we're going to attack it and destroy the device. And you have a choice to do the good or bad thing here eventually.
Oh, it's one of the moral choice sections.
Yeah. Well,
Is this the one where they're like free them or turn
Kill
them into
them
your
all.
army?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like you try and get medicine for the militia and try and get more people on your side to storm the fort, or if you just want to get monsters to storm the fort and shit.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, there are plenty of these spots where they give you like the moral choice and it determines what kind of powers you get
Yeah.
But it really encourages you to either go whole hog on the good side or the bad side.
Yeah. It does.
Because
if
otherwise you
don't-
won't get the best versions of either power if you just do like a mix.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a bummer. I like to be neutral.
Get all the powers.
Yeah, or maybe I'm having a weird day and I want to kill everybody and send my monsters after people.
Yeah. You never know.
But anyway, you eventually storm the fort. Bunch of attacking things, a bunch of people shooting you, blah, blah, blah. You eventually get to the transfer device, which is the device they used on Quo. And Nyx is like, hey, man, we should just all swap powers so we all have the powers.
I'm down for that.
And Quo's like, well, you should destroy it. And he's like, well, why don't I just use it and then destroy it?
Genius.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
so you eventually decide who you're going to swap powers with.
Can you pick either one here?
Yeah.
Oh.
And you, in the good version, anyway, the good story, you swap with Quo, and then you end up getting ice powers. If you pick Nyx, you get the other powers.
Yeah.
I don't really remember her powers too much,
I
actually.
don't know. I don't think I did.
I remember the ice powers, but
Don't think I did play this.
No, I definitely remember playing through as like both sides.
yeah, I definitely did, but I only remember using the ice powers. I don't remember ever using Nyx's.
I think there's like some variants of the exact same ones for ice, though, you know?
yeah,
But instead of ice freezing things, it explodes things or something like that.
but ice, you had the cool jump. That's the only thing I remembered.
It's true.
So you use it, and then it kind of blows up itself, and you and Quo are kind of incapacitated a little bit, and Bertrand gets on a helicopter and leaves. And you're like, well, I should have waited till I got Bertrand to do that. But then you kind of wake up and it's like, well, Quo didn't get any powers, but you kind of did. And the chopper crashed, so let's go find Bertrand.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Easy.
So you go find the crash chopper, which is weird because here the antagonist is in the crash chopper, not the protagonist.
Whoa.
We kind of mixed up the formula on us here. But you end up fighting this huge monster, a behemoth kind of swamp monster type thing, has poisonous breath, whatever. You beat it, and then as it's kind of dying and poisoning itself away, you see Bertrand kind of get up and run away. And you're like, Bertrand is the behemoth in here.
Oh my goodness.
What?
That's his power.
Yeah, it's like the third time he ran away so far in the story, too.
I know.
So you're like, well, I can't find him. He got away. Let's go to Flood Town because there's stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
And the cold guys have taken over because Bertrand made a whole bunch of soldiers with Quo's powers. So now they're just flying around doing stuff.
Just ice soldiers everywhere.
Yep. And a guy named LaRoche who runs the resistance to the militia. He's kind of the good guys. I don't know. He's kind of a dick.
He's a Vietnam vet. You watch your mouth.
He's still a dick.
He's still a dick. And very young for a Vietnam vet, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say he should be in like 70.
This took place in the 90s.
Anyway,
Can any of us verify that?
no,
I don't think they ever say the year.
they don't. But he's like, hey, you can help all my people and set up med stations and take out bad guys. And I might have a blast core for you. Just do this stuff. So you're like, all right. So you do all this kind of stuff. And you're trying to convince LaRoche to give you the blast core. Blah, blah, blah. And then eventually you run back into Quo and she's like, hey, I found Wolf's journal from that blast. And he's talking about the plague.
Oh,
And then you find out that the plague is caused by ray field radiation.
get the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you believe it? The stuff that makes conduits is also what's causing the plague around.
Makes sense.
Does
Now
it?
it's all coming
Of course
together.
it does. It's like radiation.
Yeah. And so anyway, the Wolf built the RFI that you're trying to power up to stop the plague. So you're like, oh, okay. Well, if I can stop the plague and stop the beast, I guess that's kind of good.
Yeah, win-win.
And then eventually LaRoche is like, hey, man, here's the blast core. And you fucking use it. And you try and, after you wake up, you try powering the RFI. You're still not strong enough. You're like, God damn it. Anyway, you meet back up with Nyx and Quo. And, of course, they're arguing. And they're like, hey, Bertrand's in this trading yard where he stores people and he's making monsters. We should go stop him. And Nyx is like, I got monsters myself. We can attack with them. And Quo's like, no, we shouldn't do that. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Take pictures, try and expose them to the masses. So you eventually go to the train yard, take pictures of all these people stored in cages and whatnot, and you eventually get pictures of Bertrand making new monsters.
What?
Get
Yeah,
the
can
fuck.
you
He
believe
can
it?
do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I know. It's crazy, right?
What?
Phase his. That's good stuff.
But then you take a picture of Bertrand.
And we're back. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming back from that clip. I thought we were very articulate, funny, and I don't know how
Maybe one of our best episodes ever.
it might be.
I don't know how we were all just on it that day.
We
were,
really
we were.
were. And I don't really understand how you can somehow tell how handsome we are through that recording, but
I was thinking the same.
Yeah, right?
I closed my eyes and I was like, jeez.
These are three
I mean, I could
sexy-
just look at you now, but
That's true, but the viewers, the listeners, you just felt a vibe.
I'm looking at my stuff here. Infamous 2 was the highest one I rated out of those 3.
wow.
Yeah. Uncharted 3, I scored 13. Infamous 2, I scored 14.
That was the
What did I
beginning of
give
the vibe
Saboteur?
before the vibe,
Oh,
man.
11.
It's a vibe before the vibe.
Yeah,
Like
it
you
was.
just said.
Yeah. So I know one game that's going to be in our top 5 because we just did it like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
And the other one I'm not sure of yet.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is the listeners don't know, and they're gonna have to wait till next week to figure out what the number 2 game is.
We're gonna
and
get
the
some
number
emails
1
about
game.
this.
We sure will.
Where are they going to send those hate mails to?
That's a good question. Where are they gonna send those emails to, Sir Chump Slap?
Well, send them to plottytime@gmail.com, and I'll be like, just hold on a week, man.
Perfect. And if you want to get to us faster on the socials with more swearing and fan art, how would they do that, Dr. Scientist?
At Plottytime on Threads or Instagram, which is basically the same thing. So, and then stop by our subreddit and put all your hate mail there. We won't report any of it, I promise.
No, we absolutely will not. You can also go to our YouTube site, like and subscribe there. It really helps us out. Or you can go to plottytime.com, which redirects you to our eBay store, which is legitimate, and that's where you buy our things like our Plottytime weed skin shirt, which I swear to God is there. I swear to God.
It's there. It was there when we recorded this.
And you know what else is there? Durf shirts are still available.
Still.
They're still available.
Dude, is the crop hoodie still available?
I think it is.
I think so.
What about
Thank
our
you.
best-selling t-shirt of all time, Plottytime Hates Stealth Games?
That's still there too, sir.
Oh.
It's crazy. We overestimated the inventory, I'll tell you what. But they're all still there. Go buy it. Go support us. We love you. Don't trust Dr. Scientist. Shout out to Blaine JJ, Drago the Slago.
Hamman, Gamers Little
Hamman,
Playground.
I Am Panex, Gamers Little Playground, Luis Guzman. Now don't trust Dr. Scientist. And we'll talk to you next week.
Peace.
Peace.